Once upon a time, there were Hansel and Gretel, two siblings who lived in a small village. Their mother had passed away when they were just babies. Their father, a woodcutter, remarried a few years later. The new wife came from a well-off family, but she despised living in a dilapidated shack on the edge of the forest and detested the frugal lifestyle. Moreover, she had no affection for her stepchildren. On a bitterly cold winter night, as Hansel and Gretel prepared to sleep, they overheard their stepmother telling their father, "We have very little food left. If we don't get rid of these children, we will all die of starvation." Their father vehemently protested, shouting, "There's no need for this argument. I won't allow it." However, his wife insisted, saying, "I've made up my mind. Tomorrow, we will take them to the forest and leave them there." "Worry not," reassured Hansel, comforting his sister. "We'll find our way back home." That night, Hansel sneaked out in the late hours and filled his pockets with pebbles. In the morning, the family set out towards the forest. As they walked, Hansel discreetly dropped the pebbles from his pocket, marking the path they took. By noon, their father and stepmother lit a fire for them and claimed they would be right back, disappearing into the depths of the forest. Of course, they never returned. Trembling with fear as wolves howled around them, Hansel and Gretel stayed by the fire until the moon rose. They then followed the pebbles glimmering in the moonlight and quickly found their way home. Their father was overjoyed to see them, elated with happiness. Their stepmother pretended to be equally delighted, but her decision remained unchanged. 3 days later, she attempted once again to get rid of them. Locking the children's bedroom door at night, she denied Hansel the opportunity to collect pebbles. However, Hansel, a clever boy, scattered the crumbs of dry bread he had hidden in his pocket during dinner, leaving a trail behind. Around noon, their stepmother and father left them again. When Hansel and Gretel noticed their absence and patiently waited until the moon illuminated their path, they couldn't find the trail this time. Birds had devoured all the bread crumbs. This time, the children were truly lost. In the forest, for 3 days and 3 nights, they wandered around hungry and trembling with fear. On the 3rd day, they spotted a snow-white bird perched on a tree branch. The bird sang beautiful songs to them, and forgetting their hunger, they followed the bird. The bird led them to the front of a peculiar house. The walls of the house were made of bread, the roof of cake, and the windows of candy. The children forgot all their troubles and ran towards the house. Just as Hansel was about to take a piece from the roof and Gretel from the window, a voice from inside exclaimed, "Who is nibbling at my house?" They looked and saw a sweet old lady at the door. "Oh, my poor dears," said the woman, "come inside." They entered, and they ate foods they had never tasted before. That night they slept on beds with feather pillows, but everything changed in the morning. The old lady was actually a witch who had built her house of bread and cake to lure careless children. She grabbed Hansel by his hair, lifted him from the bed, and locked him in a stable. Then she took Gretel to the kitchen. "Your brother is skin and bones," said the witch in a shrill voice. "Cook meals for him. Fatten him up. When he's plump enough, he will be a delicious feast for me. But you won't eat anything. All the food will be for him." Gretel cried and cried, but she had no choice but to follow the witch's instructions. Fortunately, Hansel's wit was still intact. He decided to trick the witch, who had poor eyesight, into believing that he wasn't gaining weight. Every morning, the witch would feel Hansel's finger to check if he had fattened up. Hansel cleverly extended a chicken bone instead of his finger. "No, not enough. He's not fat yet," the witch would shout. Then, she would go to the kitchen and instruct Gretel to prepare more food. This went on for a month. One day, the witch's patience ran out. "Whether he's fat or thin doesn't matter. Today, I'll make a Hansel pie," she exclaimed to Gretel. "Check the dough in the oven." Despite living in fear, Gretel, like Hansel, still had her wits about her. She realized that the witch intended to push her into the oven. "I can't reach into the oven. I can't see the dough," she whined. The witch swiftly pushed Gretel aside with the back of her hand and thrust her head into the oven. Gathering all her strength, Gretel pushed the old witch into the oven and quickly closed the door behind her. Hansel was now free, but they still didn't know how to get back home. They ventured into the forest again. After a while, they came across a stream. A duck helped Hansel cross first and then assisted Gretel to the other side. Suddenly, the children recognized where they were. They ran quickly towards their home. Their father, upon seeing them, was overjoyed. Tearfully, he explained that shortly after leaving them in the forest, he had gone to the home of their cruel stepmother's family. Devastated by remorse for what he had done, their father had another surprise awaiting him. Hansel and Gretel took out the gold and diamonds they had found in the witch's house from their pockets and Gretel's apron pocket. All the family's troubles came to an end. From that day forward, they lived their lives in happiness.